Since the beginning of time, or rather fashion, American clothing manufacturers were taking detailed notes on colours, cuts and trends from their European peers. That is, until World War II, when the occupation and subsequent blackout of Paris gave America no choice but to, well, start from scratch. And today, American fashion is setting the tone for a never-before-seen future. But how did we get here? I'm Hamish Bowles, International Editor-at-Large at American Vogue, and I'm here to tell you everything you need to know about the history of American fashion. Our story starts with Claire Mccardell, the mother of American sportswear. Her 5 easy pieces were born out of the necessity to have easy, interchangeable items for life on the go. Quite a departure from the fussy and labour-intensive designs seen in Europe. Mccardell envied the ease and pockets of men's clothing. She cut wrinkle-free wool on the bias for a more flowing, comfortable fit. Her debut monastic dress sold out in a day, for it offered American women a washable, re-wearable dress, the holy grail of modern, accessible fashion. In 1944, Mccardell, along with designers Bonnie Cashin and a very young Anne Klein, were a design trio that shaped the foundation for American ready-to-wear. But that's not to say European couture didn't have a place on American soil. Several designers remained true to custom tailoring, such as Hollywood's Adrian, High Society's Mambochet, and Norel, the king of 7th Avenue, famed for his flapper-style silhouettes, mid-century chemise dresses, and of course, his iconic mermaid dress. And if the 1940s were the infancy of American sportswear, then the 50s and 60s were its adolescent years. And as with most teenagers, it was an era of growth, change, and a healthy amount of rebellion. Charles James was one such champion of innovation. His rigid structures and layered creations inspired contemporary designers like Christian Dior and future generations including Halston and later Zac Posen. To Charles James, we owe thanks for the wrap dress, down jackets, and 80s-approved shoulder pads. Not to mention the first sports bra. Women on jogs across the globe, thank you for your service, Charles. Leather goods and accessories, too, sprinted into the limelight in the 1960s. Bonnie Cashin created the wildly popular shopping bag tote as Coach's first designer. You can still find her iconic turnlocks on Coach bags today, inspired by the hardware that kept the top down on Bonnie's convertible. The late 1960s and 70s were a time of radical cultural rapture, and soon fashion followed suit. American designers were still viewed as apprentices to the European masters, but that all changed after the Battle of Versailles, the fashion show and fundraiser held at the Palace of Versailles in 1973. And indeed, it was a showdown. 5 French couturiers, Yves Saint Laurent, Pierre Cardin, Emmanuel Ungaro, Dior's Marc Bohan, and Hubert de Givenchy, and 5 American ready-to-wear and sportswear designers, Oscar de la Renta, Stephen Burrows, Halston, Bill Blass and Anne Klein, fought a war of couture, duking it out to see which nation could produce the most impactful modern fashion. The show was a defining moment for inclusivity in American fashion, with 10 black supermodels shattering notions of what to wear and who can wear it. And they didn't just walk, they literally vogued down the runway. Even Liza Minnelli was there. Perhaps most notable was the debut of black American designer Stephen Burrows on the international stage, and of course the designs of Studio 54 frequenter Halston, famous for his pragmatic, minimalist designs often made of cashmere and ultrasuede, chiffon and jersey. Not to mention this pillbox hat from his first career as a milliner. These designers came to Paris with one mission: to prove American fashion wasn't going anywhere except the future. As the fashion world rolled into the 1980s, 3 American designers were on everyone's minds and department store receipts. Donna Karan for her 7 Easy Pieces collection that paid homage to Mccardell, Calvin Klein for his trademark minimalism and fragrance obsession, and his gender-neutral underwear, not to mention those iconic black and white ads, and of course Ralph Lauren for his hyper-American sensibility and his polo sports line. Minimalism was the word of the 1990s, and the Calvin Klein slip dress, amongst other pieces, was the answer. Utilitarian styles such as cargo pants and hoodies put American ready-to-wear brands like The Gap, Banana Republic and Eddie Bauer on the map. And the emergence of labels like FUBU and Cross Colours, not to mention the winking logo appropriations of Dapper Dan, were a response to the trends and social movements of black and BIPOC audiences. By the late 90s, several American designers had taken the reins of major American fashion houses and turned them into globally successful luxury brands. Marc Jacobs for Louis Vuitton, Tom Ford for Gucci, and Narciso Rodriguez for Cerruti. They were also shaking things up within American brands. Marc Jacobs' Perry Ellis punk show in 1992 was so ahead of its time that it got Jacobs fired. But here was art imitating life, or at least the Seattle grunge scene. Picture Naomi Campbell, Kristen McNemany and Nadja Auermann in silk shirts made to look like flannel. Greasy hair optional. Consumers, it appeared, could now dictate the trends that designers spotlighted in their collections. The student always becomes the teacher, after all. That same year, Jacobs won the Cfda Women's Wear Designer of the Year award, and it's no surprise why. The Cfda, created in 1962 to put American fashion on the map, refocused its mission in the wake of 9/11's devastating impact on small businesses to fostering new design talent. Thus, the Cfda Vogue Fashion Fund was born, giving rise to designers such as Forenza Scula, Rodati, Tom Brown and Kirby Jean Raymond of Pia Moss, to name a few. There is perhaps no greater example of an American designer's fast pass to Paris than Virgil Abloh, who debuted his Louis Vuitton menswear line in 2018. From ironic, hypebeast favoured brand Off-White to major Parisian fashion house, Abloh gave credence to the phrase, out with the old and in with the new. That new, of course, was American streetwear. So influential that you're just as likely to see a professional athlete wearing Air Jordans and a Champion sweatshirt to practice as you are an influencer grabbing coffee on Rodeo Drive. But where does that leave us today? The last decade of American fashion is one of unexpected risks and upheaval. Just look at American designer Kirby Jean Raymond's first couture show for Pia Moss. Every look in his summer 2021 show correlated to a universally known invention attributed to a black creator. Brands like Gypsy Sport and Telfar too, owned by Liberian-American designer Telfar Clemens, have kept high fashion on its toes and in its highest heels. Community, along with racial, gender and economic inclusivity, are at the forefront of their businesses. Oprah, Issa Rae and AOC have all been caught slinging a Telfar tote around town, perhaps the first vegan it bag. Now, American designers are making their own rules and in turn influencing global fashion. Their innovation has proved once and for all that elegance need not be sacrificed in the name of comfort, simplicity and of course a high standard for values. And this blazing trail forward is just the beginning. For now, we can thank the American designers, models and organisations who wanted more from global fashion than just the status quo. The sheer unpredictability of where they'll go next might be the whole point.